You go through the emptiness phase, but then all that needs to be reintegrated. And you're not like fully appreciating the emotions, the form that is in the emotions, the form that is in the pain, the form that exists here. That is holographic, that is spacious. But there's also something there. You get so focused on like the spaciousness, the formlessness, the emptiness. It needs to all come back together. This like reintegration of emptiness back into form. I saw this video the other day. It talked about how most spirituality, non-duality YouTubers are stuck in a state of emptiness. And that was something that I recognized in myself. Recently, especially this year, I've shifted into a space of greater emptiness. And emptiness can be quite beautiful. It can be vast, it can be spacious. You can feel beyond your mind and body. You can feel like you're observing and watching things happen, and it's just all occurring. And you don't have to do anything. And that's a relief. That's like a that's a stepping back. That's a, wow, I'm not my mind, I'm not my body. That sort of realization about the self, even in a small degree, even if you just feel a single drop of emptiness, helps to detach yourself, right? It's really freeing. But there's some consequences or downsides that come with it. It can result in you not really living in this physical life as much. You are more spaced out. You don't have the same passion for life. You're not enjoying it in the same degree. You're not suffering anymore. You're not discontent. You're not really dissatisfied, but you're not really like satisfied either. You don't have that, this is amazing. I'm passionate. And so you can look at a lot of non-duality YouTubers, even gurus, and you can see, well, how come they, in their state, why aren't they like as satisfied as like Tony Robbins? Why can't they speak as passionately? Why is there a sort of sense that they are avoiding something? And it's something I always thought about as well. Now, what's been happening for me recently is this like reintegration of emptiness back into form. Realizing, and I don't know how this has been happening, but it's just been this reintegration of this physical existence and the form, and I think it comes with this sort of realization, and I don't know how this happens, but sort of the thinking or the realization behind it is, yes, there is emptiness. Everything's coming and going. It's transient. It's holographic. It's vast. It's spacious. But at the same time, there's something here. Like there's something here that we are calling this form, this physical reality. And in that, there's some beauty in that. There's some enjoyment to be had. There is something. And I think that middle way, that merging between the form and the emptiness is key, because it means you are that in this reality but not of that reality type of vibe. It's not the same as I'm beyond this reality. And often a entry point to strong emptiness seems to be potentially some avoidance or some pain. That's what gets people into this work. This realization type work is, okay, there's some pain, and with that you often can shift into a space where you start to see and start to realize the spaciousness, the vastness, the beingness, the presence that is here, right? And when you can step into that presence, it can be really beautiful. It can be, wow, I'm present, and I'm no longer attached to this pain. I'm no longer attached to this trauma. I'm no longer attached to all these things that are arising in a non-consciousness. It's just something. It doesn't really matter so much. What I'm thinking, it's just a thought. It's cool. It doesn't matter so much. And so that is just such a beautiful place to be in. But then, the downside, right? Not really living in this reality. Potentially hiding from or not fully feeling traumas or blockages in the chakric or energetic system. And so then merging back and seeing both the form and the emptiness is, in my opinion, key. It's key to integrate them both. And if you watch Frank Yang, he's talked about this as well. He talks about how at some stage you go through the emptiness phase, but then all that needs to be reintegrated. All that needs to be, it needs to all come back together. It's kind of funny how we go from strong materialism, right? Like, I want all these things. And then at some point it flips. Like it flips upside down. And then you are in a state of emptiness. It's all good. Nothing really matters anymore. But that is also another view that you start to hold. That comes with the feeling of emptiness. That's also something that you take on almost. And it's like you're no longer clinging to the material stuff. You're no longer clinging so strongly to your emotions and all the transient things in this here and now in this reality. But then you're also not really living life. You're not really living in the true embodiment of the character that is here. And you're not like fully appreciating the emotions, the form that is in the emotions, the form that is in the pain, the form that exists here. That is holographic, that is spacious. But there's also something there. You get so focused on like the spaciousness, the form, but the formlessness, the emptiness. And often part of that is because when all these negative emotions come up, it's like, okay, I want to focus on the emptiness side, but you really get into that emptiness. And in my opinion, a lot of these non-duality YouTubers are trapped in that state of emptiness. I saw a great video the other day, talked about like this exact topic. So yeah, that's my thoughts. That's where I am right now. What's been happening is sort of this reintegration or finding this middle way. And yeah, I think don't focus too hard on one side of the coin, but it's also important at certain times to really focus on just the emptiness. So you really lock it in and then reintegrate back into form. So it can be really helpful to go to extremes. And I think that's really what happens on this whole path, this whole journey, whatever this is going into an extreme and to really dive into it and really be like, whoa, that is what it feels like to be really empty. And then maybe go into like mad hedonism for a little bit, and they're like, oh, okay, that's what that energy feels like. Oh wow, that's what it feels like to like really cling and crave to something. And then the absence of it, you're like, wow, that's refreshing, because you really only understand something through its absence when it's not there. And then you're like, wow, okay, that's the difference. That's what it feels like to have it. And that's what it feels like not to have it. And you can feel that gap, and you can feel it strongly, and you can see the difference. It's like if you are stuck in a state of dukkha, dissatisfaction, so strongly, you don't even realize you're in it because you're holding it so tightly. Imagine having your fist clenched so hard all your life, and then you finally like relax it, and you're like, wow, I didn't even notice I was tensing. And if you're walking around with a clenched fist all your life, it's going to start to feel normal. You won't even feel the sensations around it. And so you only really understand something, in my opinion, through its absence. When you lose it, that is also a gift. That's when you are getting it back. That is when you're being shown what the thing that disappeared really was. So yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. That's where I sort of am right now, is that reintegration. And with that comes this appreciation for these things that we have, this form, this experience, this physical experience, and the sensate experience that comes with it, with every thing that you feel and perceive in consciousness. The beauty in not only the transparency and the arising and passing away nature, but also the thing that is there, the substance that is there, the juice that is in the orange. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Peace.